Hey guys, me again, Orcstar with this. Where we last left off, checking. I want to tell everybody, have a happy Hanukkah and late Merry Christmas. I have been gone for 3 weeks, almost a month. That's an issue I need to work on. I need to start making these every day again. Good habit to have. Anyways, I hope everyone has a happy new year. That is also late. It is currently the 9th of the new year. At least for me. Now, where we last left off, I also wanted to say, I've been going back, rewatching the old series, and I gotta say, why did I make them so long? Like, geez Louise, just the Lamenter one. That took me like a week to finish and get the details down. I got all the details down with that one though, so don't worry. I'm gonna go back. Gotta rewatch The Bell to remember where I left off there. There's a couple others. What if Deku was Nergigante remastered? Kinda wish I didn't remaster that one, to be fair. What if Clayton Carmine was in Ruby? That one's not that bad. Oh, that one doesn't have as many views. There's a lot. I will not lie. There is a lot of stuff. But I digress. I'm here to make you guys videos tonight, and let's hope it's a good one. So, where we last left off on what if Issei had the Chaos Flame. Issei had just finished taking down a rogue devil that really enjoyed fighting and killing stuff. She was she was a battle junkie, essentially. She was just going around killing homeless people to just get that blood that she wanted. So, what Issei did is he decided to go kill her, mano a mano, and chopped her to pieces, really. After that, what happened was, well, Rias and her group showed up. Matsuda, Dog, and Issei now were having a semi-standoff with Rias and her little group, minus Gasper. Because remember, Gasper actually is still locked away. So it's Akano, Kaneko, and Kiba, along with Rias, having the standoff. Now, Issei and Rias are really mad-dogging each other at this moment. Rias is wondering who's this person who's moving in on her territory, or her territory, quote-unquote. Issei knows that if he gets in a fight with her, and the other group jumps in, it may be harder for him to win. Because he knows Matsuda may be able to take on at least one of these pieces. But he doubts it. Like, Matsuda has been getting stronger, thanks to Issei and his mom helping train him and get used to his chaos weapon. Then you have Dog. Dog can most certainly take on at least two of them. Issei can take on Rias and maybe Akano together. So he's confident in his abilities. He just doesn't know what they can do. Though he can somewhat feel their auras. He can feel them somewhat. They aren't very strong and or weak, he would say. He can't really get a good grasp on them. So, excuse me. Sorry about that, I had to sneeze. So I digress. They're standing there. Issei has his armor activated with his axe on his shoulder. Dog has transformed, and Matsuda has also, activated his armor and weapon. They're standing there ready for a fight. But I digress. As Issei and Rias are having the standoff, both are questioning who's going to make the first move. or is there even going to be any moves played? As issei and them are just staring down, Ria says, "Who are you?" in a very trying to put on a high authority tone, like one that would try to command respect. Issei just keeps on staring down at her. She's just like, as Akano leans over, it's like, "Rias, are we sure we want to take this guy on? He just took down a pretty tough rogue devil, even for us." As Rias looks at stares, like darts his eyes to the side a little bit at Akano, Issei can tell that he may be not winning, but he may be able to intimidate them to going away. Though Rias is far too prideful to allow that to really happen, but, you know, he can hope. Issei puts on his own little commanding authoritative voice and says, "Leave us alone." As Matsuda's just like, "Dude, what are you doing your voice for?" Issei's just like, "Shut up. Don't use it." As he's about to say Issei's name, but Issei just goes back and clamps a hand over his Matsuda's mask. Like, oops. It's just like, "Quiet yourself." As he's trying to think of a name up on the fly, he's like, "Crap, I don't know any other demon names or nothing." Taurus. As Matsuda's looking at him quite confusingly, as Issei just sort of gives him like a Matsuda's just like, "Oh, yes, Lord." As they hear these terminologies passed around, it's just like Taurus and Lord. Now Rias is kinda intrigued at the title of a Lord being thrown around, because she's trying to connect the dots. Is like he some form of royalty? Is he like a devil, angel, or from some other mythology that she doesn't know about? She's trying to look at them in pieces and place the pieces together. Their armor is like none other that has been seen in history, nor is that dog thing anything looks like anything from history. She can't quite picture it where they lie in this whole situation, in the pecking order, you could say. As Issei sort of, "You heard me, leave. There is no need to quarrel." As he remembers what his mother says, that to recognize signatures from at least the three factions. You got gods, or well, multiple factions. You got the gods, angels, devils, and fallen angels. Each one has their own order they can feel. He can obviously tell these ones are devils because they're not really trying to hide it. Because they came down with, black wings ready to go. He's like, "Be gone, devil." Excuse me. He's being very cautious with the words he uses, not wanting to give off any sense of weakness. As Ruria sort of stands there and sort of says, "Who says I take orders from you?" As she shoots her own glaring back, as Dog takes a step forward and starts growling, a very deep and guttural growl. Koneko and Kiba, along with Akano, take a step forward, as then Matsuda takes a step forward. It's like, "Oh Lord, does this seem wise?" As he says, like, "Down, dog." The dog, sort of makes a snapping sound with its jaw. Koneko is sort of going hissing at the dog. As Dog can tell, she has some form of cat in her, and she can obviously say that's a dog. As that is happening, Kiba's in the back as he's just drawing a couple of swords of different things. He's like, "Right, these guys look like they are on fire, so a water sword and an ice sword, that'll work." Akano is ready to summon down her own little lightning. As Issei takes this moment and is just like, choose carefully, devil. This will not go the way you wish. As Ria says, you will submit to my authority so that way I may find out who you are. Issei says, we warned you, as he summons his pyromancies and casts Flame Whip as he washes it over that area. As Ria tries to scream out and tell them to move, she throws up her own barrier to counteract it. As the two things meet, the Chaos Flame breaks the shield, just like that. He then snaps his finger to cause those little explosions that he got going around beforehand. Issei knows that he has to this group looks like they have some combat experience from what he can tell, but he needs to keep that pressure on, otherwise they may be able to recuperate and get the advantage on them. As he orders Taurus, or Matsuda, to go after the one with swords. As he orders Dog to go after the white-haired one. Both accept the roles and go chasing after their targets, as he manages to corner away Akano and Ries, so as that way to try and separate them. He's gonna try to target Ries because he knows that by devil standards, they always value the leader above most, from what he has gathered from his mom. As he's attacking them, Kiba and Taurus, or Matsuda, are right now interlocked in a duel. Kiba's trying to use that water sword, but when it hits the armor, it just sizzles away like nothing happened. As Matsuda's like, that's cool, as he comes rushing forward with his own sword, as he launches into a flurry of attacks against Kiba. Now, Kiba is the better swordsman, but Matsuda's weapons are better, so as the Ice Sword and the Chaos Blade come to clash, as Kiba uses the ice powers, Matsuda channels a bit of energy, his energy, let's just say, to the Chaos Flame. He causes it to ignite somewhat as it cuts through and starts slicing through the sword. As Kiba's just like, oh no, as he lets go of the sword, jumps back and summons two fire blades. As Matsuda's just like, well, this is going to be useful, as he comes back in at Kiba. With Dog and Koneko, though, they are straight up just brawling each other. Koneko's punching Dog in the face like 1, 2, 3, trying to get in good combos around the face. Dog has been breathing fire and using his giant body to just jump around, maneuver. He even actually headbutted Koneko into a tree. Into several trees, actually. And their fight is more of a back and forth. They seem more evenly balanced out when it comes down to this. Kiba and Matsuda, you can tell where it lies. Matsuda has more power. Kiba at the moment has skill. So it's two strengths going against one another. And then you get down to Ries Akano versus Issei. As they're fighting, Akano is trying to unsteady Issei by saying, I always liked a strong man, as she launches lightning at him. She's sort of like, and what's your name? You're kind of cute. And she's like, you may call me Lord. And she's like, ooh, nice. As Ries is like, really, Akano, in the middle of this? As she launches some of her destruction magic, as Issei just sort of moves out of the way. And sort of launches forward and sort of gives a nice punch to Ries's stomach as he sends her flying. As he's been able to corner off Ries, he's now applying more pressure to Akano since he put a bit of force into that punch. So now Ries should be out of commission for at least a little while, for at least him to deal enough damage to Akano to take her out of the game. As she shouts out for Ries, she starts using more powerful magic, actually taking this as a serious fight. Issei can feel this as he feels the lightning hits him. He's like, oh, Yep, that has more punch than the last time. As during this fight, she has hit him with a couple of spells here and there. Like I said, they weren't as powered up, but now she's taking this seriously. As he's jumping around, maneuvering himself, he sort of uses the opportunity when he cast Iron Flesh. And what's that one spell? Pyromancy called? What is it called? Power Within. He casts those two in combination. Iron Flesh, if I haven't explained it beforehand, it gives you a boost to your defense, but it takes down your, you essentially can't walk, run, or anything with it while you do it. You're essentially a wall in that moment. But with Power Within, it gives you extra damage for exchange for your health. So as he casts those two things, he casts Power Within first, so as he can use that boost of energy, speed, and damage. There's no speed bomb, making it different because, you know, it's a like power boost. He's using it to close in that distance with Akeno as he blitzes past her, gets up pretty much right to her, hits her once, and is able to knock her out of the sky. But he comes crashing down as he casts Iron Flesh to, like, as he brings up, like, turns his axe around to use, like, the hammer sight and slams it on top of her. As she is taken out of the game, as he deactivates Power Within as well as Iron Flesh. He drags Akeno back over to Matsuda and Dog. As he arrives, they have just finished up their fights as Dog was able to maneuver it to where Koneko sort of was backed up into Kiba while she was trying to get distance, as Dog and Matsuda took this opportunity to essentially just sandwich the two of them and take them both out. As they drop them off in like the center where Issei drops off Akeno, you have Rias, who has finally recovered, and she walks over as she sees that they are standing over her pieces, her lovely servants, as she calls them. As she sees this, she thinks they're dead. As this happens, she unleashes like her power of destruction to its completeness. As she's like, you will pay for what you just have done. And so she launches a full blast of unrelenting destruction magic. As Issei takes the two of them and moves them away, as he's quick, like, Dog detransforms, so it shrinks down. He grabs Matsuda and Dog and jumps away from there in like a split second like that. As he's just like, that was close. As Rias sort of moves quickly over to her fallen servants, like, Rias, are you okay? She's like, calm down, Akeno, I'm just fine. As she tells her servants to get back up, that the fight isn't over. As they each stand up, like not wavering, but slowly, as you can tell that they are definitely hurt. That this fight has been a challenge for them. So as they're standing there, toe to toe, ready for the fight to continue, Rias launches another blast of fire. As this time, the group has worked together in an instant. As Rias gave them a quick rundown of a plan, Issei told Matsuda to take Dog and go, that this fight would probably turn more deadly if they stayed around. So he ordered them to go, as when Rias turned around to... turn around to... so that way they can enact their plan, she saw the big dog thing, and Matsuda were gone. Where are your other two? She's like, I have sent them away. Taurus and Dog do not need to be around for this. She's like, scared you're gonna lose? He says, no, I know I will win. I just wish they did not have to see how brutal I will be. As she enacts her plan, as she gets Koneko to get up close and personal, trying to overwhelm him with force, or at least that's what he thinks, as he's pushing him into an area to where Kiba will get a sword that allows him to manipulate the earth, create a box. Akano will keep him from flying out with any spells, and then Rias launches a full wave of attack of destruction magic, as strong and as powerful as she can muster. As Issei's fighting this, he sees this coming towards him. He thinks, I'm not gonna die today. I have a lot longer to live for, and I'll be damned if I don't pass on the Chaos Flame before I die. So as he summons it, as he can feel that he pushes it far enough to where his life is in danger, it can sense this. As he's able to push past one of his boundaries, that he's sort of stagnated at this point. He's able to break through it, takes it, and launches a full-on blast of Chaos Flame unrestrained. And now it's not the full power, but it's like sort of like an activation mode where he unleashes as much as he can in that moment. As the two powers meet, since destruction magic is very much like a flame almost, they dance and intertwine with each other as the walls around issei are blown away by a powerful wave. As then Rias and them actually back away because they can feel the intense heat coming off this. Issei takes a step back as they each are, as the group, Rias's group and Issei are staring at this. Issei can still feel, he feels the power of the Chaos Flame. He feels it can create, destroy, whatever it needs. But in that moment, he twists it to sort of devour, to consume this new magic, or this magic that it has faced before. As it starts consuming it, Rias is surprised because she has never seen any kind of magic that can counter the power of destruction that her family has known to have. As Akano and all of them are witnessing this, Issei gets closer as he sort of maneuvers it as it's like a tornado and sort of raises above himself as he takes his arm, twists it down into a fist right next to his body as you can see the Chaos Flame as it down back inside him. As he can feel it, he's just like, I will not be able to do that again without some help. I need to get practice with this new ability. As he says, remember this, devil, as the day I let you go. As he runs away. As he's just like, I pray to the Chaos Flame and my ancestors. They don't know I'm bluffing. As Akano and all of them are just like, he is really dangerous. We should contact your brother. As Rias outright denies that, saying that this is her first territory, she will handle the situation. That it isn't something that if just one thing or one person has come into town, let's just say, that she immediately runs to her big brother. Nothing that will just show weakness on her side and her house, and she cannot allow that weakness or just weakness to be shown. So she orders her servants to not bring it up to anyone outside of their group. Damn allergies. Sorry if you heard that. My allergies, since that sneeze, have just been acting up for some reason. But I digress. As Issei and Matsuda have met up after, running away and are essentially sleeping over at Issei's house, Issei's mom wants to know what the heck happened. As they explain what happened, as they explain the magic, she says that is the magic of the Grimory family. As she has asked also, what did the girl look like? Did she have like bright crimson red hair? And they answered yes. She explains what the Grimory family is and where they stand in the underworld. Matsuda's like, dude, you just fought a member of House Grimory. And you won! Man, that's gonna be so cool in the future. As Issei's mom's like, no, it is not. As they're confused, as Matsuda is confused as to why. As she goes on to explain to him that it's essentially like this. If her brother Sir Zek's Grimmery hears about his little sister being attacked and beaten by something, he may fly off the hinges and come searching personally. Because he loves his little sister that much, as Issei and Matsuda are now quite worried, as Matsuda's like, what if he comes searching for you guys? You guys can hide again, right? Not if he's actually searching. Because Sir Zex is one of the most powerful devils to ever live. I think he's what you call a super devil. So I believe it goes low class, middle class, high class, ultimate class, Mal class, and then super devil. Like, I believe a super devil is the highest devil there is. But I digress again. And as she's explaining this, if he was looking hard for a specific thing, he would find them. But thankfully, he doesn't know that they're there. And thankfully, there's a bit more paranormal activity or supernatural activity in frick, I forget where they go there. Frick, what? I forget the place where they not live at. Not going to go. I'm sorry, I forgot its name. I will look that up later. Anyways, I digress again. I'm sorry. As that is what's going on, Rias and them are sort of recuperating themselves, trying to figure out what that was, who attacked them, and how on earth can they win next time. As they each go down what they understood and what they saw from the abilities shown. Kiba talks about the Taurus as he says, Taurus, if that's his name, seems to be an amateur swordsman who relies more on power than skill. That his weapon cut through my weapons with ease. Like, he talked about how he made the ice sword and water sword, and how they essentially did nothing to him even though they were made out of fire. When he tried to make a fire weapon, all that happened was that the sword ate the flames. That's all that happened. Koneko goes on to talk about how the dog, as she says it, bit her, spat fire at her, and pretty much bruised her. That's essentially what he did. And Akano talks about how she saw how well and how calculating it seems that Lord, as she says, it fights. That he always made sure to keep both of us in his vision, except the time where he shot Rias off into the woods. She noticed that he used his pyromancies, or magical abilities, in great combination with each other to get the most useful and effectiveness out of them. Rias talked about how she noticed that as well, that he seems to be somewhat of a skilled strategist to come up with unique ways to use abilities that nobody would probably think of using. As they're running down the list of what they've seen and what they can tell, they get to the big part of how his flames seem to eat the destruction magic or consume it in a way. Rita says that she'll search the books and ask in her family that if something like this has ever occurred. And if so, she'll find out what it is and if there's a way to counteract it. But until then, that's all they need, and so they all go to the bed for the night. The next morning, Rias does exactly what she said she'll do. She'll go contact her mother. She sort of asks the question, and her mother says she probably wouldn't be the best one to ask that. That would probably be best to ask her father. Because I believe, let's see, the Grimmery, I think, I'm trying to remember, there's some information. The Bale house is the one that gets the destruction magic. That's where it comes from. I think her mother's on that side of the family. So I guess she will ask her mother where that if there has ever been a magic that's been known to either counteract or just outright destroy the destruction magic of her family. As her mother goes on for a couple of seconds, she asks, why did she want to know this knowledge? Is there something wrong? Has something happened? As Rias tries to say nothing really has happened, it's just something that came up in her mind as a stray thought that she grabbed onto and she couldn't get out of her head. Her mother says that she remembers hearing a story a long time ago before she was even born, that there was a faction or a group of creatures, so to speak, that did go, and that was known to be able to counteract the destruction magic. But she also goes on to explain that they were also known to counteract a lot of magic. Like, they were able to consume, destroy, or corrupt, as she uses those words, to counter anything that really came their way. As she is sort of searching through her mind, as she orders one of the servants go to her library to find a book, she remembers the book in the name, but there isn't a lot that was known about these creatures, or not a lot that was saved. As she's going down the line, the servant retrieves the book, as she explains that they didn't receive a name, or that their name was not remembered for some unknown reason. At least unknown to them. To us, we know the truth is that the Satans and God, not God, but the Satans hated the fact that these dull creatures, as they would call them, would not bend to their will. So when they revolted and they destroyed them, they destroyed their history and destroyed any real recollection of their names that they could get their hand on. Some of the only things that actually have the name of the Chaos Demons or Chaos Flames is actually with the fallen angels, where they were able to trade some knowledge, or where they actually documented the history of the Chaos Flame. Not how it came to be or where it came from, just how it existed and how the Chaos Demons existed within it. Sorry about that. As they're getting the explanation of it, Rias is listening very intently to how her mother's phrasing things. As that is happening, her mother goes on to explain, that in all reality, it doesn't really matter because supposedly all these creatures were killed. Sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there for that second, or minute, or two, I'm not quite sure. But she goes on to explain that they were creatures of incredible might, that the Mao, in their infinite wisdom, chose to rise up and strike them down with their almighty power, saying that their power was enough to destroy this crippling flame. But, like I said, as we know, the thing was different. They had to get help from God, or really, with God's help, they were able to overpower the Chaos Flame. Eventually, it took them a while of concentration and their full strength to break down the Chaos Flame's defenses and to finally overpower it, but not before, with its last bit of power, it sent out the fragments or the embers of the Chaos Flame. As Rias understands this, she's like, oh, okay. Does it say what their flames looked like? As her mother says that the Chaos Flames appears however they appear to each individual user. Another one of the unique things about the Chaos Flame is that its flames are unique as to whatever the person wants to see as the Chaos Flames. For instance, if you want to see them as something as warm, beautiful, and light, you may see them as something like white, and that they are gentle flames. But if you see them as something as dangerous and scary, they'll become like deep, crimson that seem to have like more animation where they flicker and lash out. It all depends on the perspective of the person. And for instance, if you think they are majestic, beautiful, and even wonderful, they may appear blue to you, as like blue flames that gently sway in the wind. Her mother explains that it's all very contradictory about what flame magic is known as. And to hear creatures of sizes like she's red, it's incredible that they use any sort of magic at all, because typically they use their brute strength. And she says even then, it says this book that they destroyed legions of devils, high and low, high class, and like some of their members were able to go toe to toe with Maus and ultimate class devils. They are very, very dangerous creatures. As her mother says, thankfully though, they were exterminated a long time ago. Juria's like, yes, exterminated. She's like, thank you, mother, as she cuts off the communication. She starts thinking in her mind, is this possibly one of them? Because she said, like her mother said, this flame is chaotic and contradictory. It does not operate, so it is possible for it to shift away and make sure it still has a flame to burn on. As she calls Akano in there so that way she can talk with her and get her own ideas on this bit. But I think that's where I'm going to be ending this one off at. I hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you guys can enjoy this. And again, Happy New Year's, Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you believe in.